sincerely apologize for starting the program behind schedule. Hello and welcome to another edition of Journalist Hangout. I am Ayodele Ozubakun. Today on the Hangout, Kogi State Governorship Tribunal throws out Faleke's petition and it affirms Yaya Bello's victory. Federal government orders banks to stop sacking workers. So if you're ready, let's start the Journalist Hangout right now. Governor Yaya Bello of Kogi State is a happy man today, I can tell you. Kogi State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal sitting in Abuja has dismissed the petition filed by James Abiodun Faleke, his party member challenging him of dubiously occupying the position. Faleke was the deputy to late Abubakar Audu in the November the 21st, 2015 governorship election. Faleke claimed to be the legitimate winner of the poll and accused Bello of entering the Lugard house through the back door. But the tribunal ruled that his petition lacked merit. It said Faleke was never a governorship candidate of the All Progressive Congress at any stage of the election and did not participate in the primaries leading to APC's choice of its governorship candidates. Some relief for Governor Yaya Bello, but how long will this relief last? Baba Jide Kolade Otitoju is in the house. Jide, how was the weekend?
Fine. I try my best to enjoy it.
Hope the judgment has not...
Within the limits that the pains of today's Nigeria inflicts on everyone. I try my best to enjoy it.
Adekunle Yusuf is also in the house. Kuleshi, how was the weekend?
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. It's time for Ramadan.
Time for Ramadan. We say Ramadan carrying to our Christian brothers and sisters.
Enjoy the weekend because
I'll fast it.
And Lekon Shote is in the house today. Lekon.
Thank you. It was a busy weekend for me.
Oh, okay.
From Saturday through Sunday.
It's not fasted.
Okay. All right. Let's set the ball rolling. Jide, we did not expect this judgment. We thought with all the, analysis and the legal minds that have lent their heavy, voices to this particular case, that it might just be a fait accompli for James Abiodun Faleke. But the tribunal said otherwise today, affirming Yaya Bello as the undisputed governor of Kogi State. Jide?
The judgment that the tribunal handed down in Kogi is a supplementary judgment.
Again?
It's a joke. It's a joke from the pit of hell. Because when you look at it, you ask yourself, what really is the matter with the judiciary? But for me, it has not come as a shock. Because when you follow events generally in the Nigerian election petitions tribunals, I have a history of being shocked by the behavior of judges, especially at the lower tribunals. It is at the level of the Supreme Court that you always
have a semblance of sanity.
Yes, okay, there is some measure of sanity. Because when you cast your mind back to what happened in Osun, with Justice Thomas Naron, even coaching a lawyer, a tribunal judge coaching a lawyer what to say before his court, a tribunal judge who during a break, during proceedings, will now be telling them, okay, this is how I will rule. This is what you will say so that I can rule in this way. They were exchanging text messages like lovers. They were talking on phone with an alarming frequency. And in the end of the day, the NJC descended on Naron, and Kalejai too was punished. Yes, was punished by his colleagues. So I'm not really shocked. Look at what happened with the case of Mama Taraba. Any sensible judge would know that that was a pre-election matter. But at the level of the lower court, what did we see? Mama Taraba was given judgment in a matter that did not concern her.
That the PDP primaries
That the
was not
PDP
properly conducted.
Yes.
As a result of it, APC will now...
Because of the joke that these judges have constituted themselves into, remember that even the chief judge, the chief justice of the Federation, said that he was worried about the conflicting judgments in similar cases being handed down by judges. You will find that the way, maybe in the tribunal in Ebonyi State, the way the same matter, a similar matter, will be decided in Anambra will be different. So the man was worried and he complained. But that is Nigeria for you. This judge said that Faleke remains the deputy governor of...
Okay, you are trying to point out the contradiction.
Yes. Now, when that he remains the deputy governorship candidate, of course, the major ground, one of the major grounds of Faleke and his legal team was that, or remains that, Yaya Bello did not enter the December 6th election with a deputy. Because Faleke wrote to the party that, look, I don't want to be this guy's deputy. He wrote to INEC. And in fact, Amina Zakari, who is the INEC
pro tem chairman at that time.
No, she's in charge of North Central now.
Okay.
You know, after the reorganization. She's the INEC boss, so to say, in charge of North Central, was asked pointedly. And Amina said only the party can withdraw his deputy governorship candidature, which means that you can actually drag a man to the neck, by the neck and say you must be Ayo Zubaku's deputy governorship candidate against your wish. Something that he published in all the major newspapers in Nigeria. Said, look, I'm not going to be this person's deputy. But they knew that the game was that Yaya Bello would not have had enough time to pick a deputy. So they decided that no, let's not withdraw his name as the deputy governorship candidate. And during cross-examination, Yaya Bello's chief of staff was shown the document that his boss filled, the INEC document, where the portion that he was supposed to enter the name of his deputy was vacant. He left that place blank, and he was asked. He said, well, that he had nothing to say about that. Now this judge is helping Bello to fight his corner by saying that, oh, it is the party that can withdraw somebody's candidature. The issue now is, if you rule now, because she even had some harsh words for Yaya Bello, that Yaya Bello should not have appointed a deputy because Faleke remains the deputy, then what is his ruling or her ruling? Did she rule that that person should leave the position for Faleke to vacate? The answer is no. She didn't give it. She didn't give it. So the reality is, and another thing, one of the main grounds upon which Faleke and his team fought was that Yaya Bello was not validly elected. One, because the Constitution says clearly that to be eligible to contest an election, you must be a resident or you must be a native of that place, and you must be registered to vote in that place. Yaya Bello was registered to vote in Maitama in Abuja, and he claimed that he tried to get his PVC transferred to Kogi. That was not done before the election. In fact, the INEC came out to say they never received any application for that transfer. So technically, by our laws, he was not even a candidate in that election because he didn't vote, and because he didn't vote in the election, he was not registered to as a voter in that place. Therefore, he shouldn't have even been in that race in the first place.
Tribunal says Faleke was never a governorship candidate of APC.
Yes.
What do you make of this?
You see, look at what GD said and try and distill everything together. What the tribunals are doing today, I don't know what is happening because they don't seem to understand the public sentiment. If Faleke is not the candidate of APC, what did he do in the election? Was he an ordinary voter in that election? He was deputy to the late Abubakar. Then Abubakar died. Then at the end of the day, what happened? You will see that there's a lot that the APC needs to explain this whole issue, because it's actually the party that modeled up the entire process, and the judiciary is helping to, adding, insult to injury now.
Lekon, Faleke's petition lacked merits. That's the petition so unwarranted.
Well, first, the law is an ass. I'm sure you know that.
What about the practitioners of the law?
My thinking is this, that this is the job of a tailor. Without trying to disparage anybody, somebody got a needle and a thread and is sewing the front to the back. You understand what I'm saying?
Modeling it.
So that's my understanding. One, if you say he has, first, there's no doubt that he was never presented by, but the Constitution says that, I think Section 187 says that the party must present you as candidate. You can't present yourself. There's no room for independent. So, Now, the question is, what is your locus standi? What are you contesting? If you did not contest, if your party does not present you as a candidate, I think that's the bottom line. Yeah. Now, but this gentleman who was running mate, no doubt, to Audu Abubakar, or Abubakar Audu, and Audu died. In my unloyally mind, I would have thought that unlearned mind, the 240,000 votes that he and Audu garnered should have been his own, and then he would have moved forward to become the party. To be fair, should have presented him as the. But the law, like I say, is an ass, and the party had the opportunity to make up its mind and choose somebody else and say, this is our what do you call it, gubernatorial candidate. This gentleman in public stated that he had written to the party and to INEC that they should withdraw. Do you understand? He's a candidate. He was not on that ticket. And I think, I wrote an article about this, and I did say that some people, some legal minds told me that, and that it was an undoing for him to have withdrawn, if indeed he had withdrawn. But it now looks to me like it's a catch-22 situation. If he withdrew, he will have no local standing. Now that he did not withdraw, though they did not withdraw his candidacy as deputy governor, he also has no local standing because he cannot be contesting an election that he himself has contested in. That's what this module is all about. And that's why I say that we got a very good tailor who sewed things together, and then everybody is confused.
Julie, the tribunal held that Faleke did not partake in the party primary, which is a very cogent step before you.
It's a very ridiculous position, because I can give you instances. Boni Haruna did not take part in the primaries in 1999. He became governor of Adamawa State after Obasanjo made Atiku. Yes, because he went into the contest with Atiku and won. They took the matter to court, and the Supreme Court said Boni Haruna is the validly elected governor. We are a very funny people, because when you now say how many running mates take part in primaries, once your boss takes part in the primary and he chose you as his running mate, both of you are candidates. Exactly. That is how the law the law describes him as deputy governorship candidate. Both of you are candidates. There's no law that says you must take part in primaries before you can become governor. There's no such law. Otherwise, when the former governor of Yobe State, Ali, when he died in the accident, then his deputy who inherited that seat should not have been allowed to inherit it. They could just have said no because he didn't take part in the primaries back then. That is the issue. You cannot now say that, okay, because the party has no right to not withdraw his candidature when he said, look, I'm not contesting. It infringes on his fundamental rights. That you want to force him to be deputy to somebody after he had been deputy to the man who died. What Faleke went to the tribunal to try to get the tribunal to do is to say, look, the party shouldn't have brought another person. I got into this race with this man, and I can tell you that a substantial portion of the votes that we got in the end, those votes came because of me. Some of us can explain why, and can go to great lengths to explain that, because PDP had always won in the Yoruba-speaking part of Kogi State, that is Okun area. But the moment Faleke got into that race, for the first time, APC won the election there. APC won the election there. So you cannot say of all those votes belong to the man who died. I mean, they are like Siamese twins. It's like a co-pilot in an aircraft. When the main pilot is indisposed on the flight, the co-pilot steps in. That's the way it's supposed to be. So, and to say that it is only the party that can make someone governor, for God's sake, Amechi was not the choice of his party. His party said, no, we don't want to. It is Celestine Omehia that we want. But today, Amechi became governor. Whatever Amechi has become today, it is because he confronted his party. And justice was served in the end. I saw the judge citing the Amechi case. If I'm not a lawyer, I'm just a journalist who monitors developments. And I know that the Supreme Court even ruled that nobody should use the Amechi as president. But we have a judge, we had a judge who sat in this matter and was citing the Amechi case, when even in 2011, the Supreme Court ruled that parties are inanimate objects. They cannot vote and they cannot be voted for. It is individuals that own the votes. Supreme Court ruled in 2011 in the case between the CPC and the PDP. So to come now and tell us that, oh, it is the party that owns the vote, the party has the right. Supreme Court has also ruled that votes cannot be transferred. Ayo. But today, votes have been transferred just for Yabelo to emerge. I can tell you, any senior lawyer, any serious lawyer handling a matter before these small tribunals will tell his client that, look, let's get prepared for a long journey, because before you can be sure of justice, this matter will get to the Supreme Court.
Okay.
Yes, and that's what always happens. That's what always happens in Nigeria.
Tunji is calling us from Lagos. Thank you for joining us, Tunji.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, go ahead with your contribution.
And I think I'll be joining the conversation I started with you.
Okay.
And then for the first time, I think I would disagree with my good brother there, Mr. Titology. He's trying to analyze the issue. He's trying to take us to the Constitution. He's trying to use what has happened between the Ayabilo and the late Audu. The judge made it clear that Audu Abubakar was the candidate of APC. The judge made it clear that it was Yaya Bello who became the runner-up in the APC primary. And before you can contest for a governor, you must participate in the party primary. Yaya Bello became the runner-up for the late Audu. Now it is the decision of APC, just like what the judge said, that the vote that was gathered on the December 6th or November something, that it belongs to APC, not to Audu. I'm trying to run up. I can
Thank you, Tunji.
I'm trying to get out. Now,
Thank you for your contribution, Tunji. So many people want to call at the same time. We've noted your contribution.
I think Tunji needs to know that this is
the reality.
You know,
This
there are
is not a
certain
fresh
things. There are a lot
election.
of things that people are trying
This is
to
not a
model.
fresh election.
Number one, as at the time they declared the election inconclusive, a winner has emerged.
A winner had emerged.
I'm ashamed that a tribunal made up of lawyers, judges, are saying that the election was still inconclusive. What politicians were saying.
A winner had emerged.
A winner had emerged.
Because
you don't need
the supplementary.
You don't need too
what
much
happened
of
in the
mathematics to
constituency
know.
was not consequential
You don't
to.
need too much of law to know.
685 votes to
A
240,000.
winner had emerged. How can you declare that kind of election inconclusive? Then number two, those who are saying Faleke was never a candidate of the party. Fine. If he wasn't a candidate of the party, there is no way anybody can be candidate of the party without a running mate. And the moment you add a running mate, the two of you are the candidates of the party.
Yes.
No one can do it alone. The law doesn't recognize only one person to be the candidate of the
I
party.
remember.
That's number two. Then number three, how is it now fair, either in the eyes of the law or in the eyes of common sense, that somebody who never took part in the election, because he contested in the primaries, now we come and
He did
now
not even vote.
inherit
240,000 votes.
the mandate
He
of
did
an
not
election
join them.
that had
He
been
did not
freely
join them in
given.
the campaigns.
Campaign.
Somebody who was already in another party because he wanted to be governor at all costs.
That
Believe
is
me,
why.
it flies
That
in
is
the
why.
face of-
That gentleman
You see,
who
he had
just
lost.
spoke
He had
should
even.
understand that this is not a fresh election. So talking about Faleke did not do contest in the primaries does not come in because the supplementary election was a supplementary to the first election that was not concluded.
You read some of the.
Let me
So
tell
you
you,
should
you
not
know
begin to
why.
talk about
The reality
somebody
is,
being a
Yaya
primary,
Bello,
you know.
after he lost the primaries, he took his party to court.
Yeah.
Abi?
Yeah.
He took his party to court.
right.
He said that Abubakar Audu was being tried for corruption and that his party should not have picked a corrupt person. Then he went back to Abuja in annoyance. He had given up hope that he would ever get back. And it was for that reason that he didn't start the process of trying to get his PVC transferred
To Kogi.
to Kogi. Faleke got his PVC transferred from Lagos to Kogi. He started work earlier. In his own case, he never imagined that that day will come when they will say, come and contest. But some people believe that they are more powerful than everyone, whereas they are not as powerful as God, decided that, okay, come and take this thing. When they did not even come, when they went even to Kenya to campaign and all these places, they didn't see him. He didn't campaign for his party. Some people went through sleepless night, campaigned, and then they got the votes. This is the person who has come to inherit it. This is only in Nigeria that this sort of thing can happen. And I'm saying it again, that Nigerians need to be more current than they are. The Supreme Court has ruled in 2011 that parties do not own the vote, that it is the candidate that owns the vote. But the party must sponsor a candidate. But the votes belong to the candidate. So you cannot now say that, oh, because that was what the judge said, that, oh, that the votes belong to the party, not to this person. No.
All right. Let me. Usman is calling us from Lagos. Thank you for hanging on, Usman.
Yeah, please, I want to make a little contribution.
All right, go ahead, Usman.
Yeah, I think I disagree with the panelists in the studio.
Okay, you have the right.
You are right.
Yes, as far as I'm concerned, the tribunal have done its best.
Okay.
Now, which constituency is Faleke from? Is he from Lagos or from Kogi?
kind of question
I
is
think
that?
Faleke is somebody who wants to reap from where he did not sow. He just
How
being
about
greedy
Yaya, who went to
because
register?
he's representing Lagos as we speak.
What is this man talking
How did
about?
he now metamorphose into contested election in Kogi State? And none of you is talking about that.
Thank you.
All of you are just
Thank you,
supporting
Usman.
Faleke.
Thank
This
you.
is the rule.
Thank you. I think we'll need to kind of enlighten Usman here.
Yes,
Um,
that Yaya himself was registered in
Abuja.
In Abuja, the same way.
Maitama.
Yeah,
And if he's thinking because he's a member representing Ikeja Federal Constituency,
That's right.
he doesn't have the right to contest in Kogi State.
Atiku Abubakar has already demonstrated that even if you won election as governor, you can become running mate to the president.
The thing really is that.
But I think there's
what
something.
the Constitution says is that he cannot hold both positions
At the same
concurrently.
time,
At the same
So
time.
what he will need to do the day he's sworn in as governor, he gives up his position.
That's it.
But he is allowed. The Constitution allows him. Otherwise, his opponents will have used that against him. So people should stop demonstrating ignorance that you cannot be representing Lagos and then be contesting in Kogi. Many people have done that.
Many
people have done
contested
that.
elections.
A
Yes.
lot of aspirants from Lagos State.
Yes, they come to the National
Originally
Assembly.
from Lagos State.
So many people like
You can
that.
start counting.
And I think,
No, Adekunle-
please, before you go on, I think there's something that we need to really point out. Jide said something. You say, when a governorship candidate fills his form, there's no separate form for deputy governor. It is on the governor's form that the name of the deputy governor is filled.
And without a deputy,
can't contest.
therefore Yaya was never
He was never a
validly
candidate. He was never even a candidate in the election.
I think
So this gentleman
the
who
bulk
just
of the
spoke now
problem,
should go and,
apart from what the judiciary has done, apart from what the tribunal has done today, the bulk of the problem started from the All Progressive Congress.
Yes.
If you agree with me,
Yeah, I do.
it started with the All Progressive Congress. Yeah. The process of sitting down, the way they handled after Audu died, the way the situation was handled. Because quoting Faleke anytime, Faleke said at no time did his party call him and Yaya Bello say, look, this is what we're about to do, this is what we want to do, both led to him, this is what we've done, that he was not consulted. That as a major stakeholder, as the running mate to Abubakar Audu, he was not given the opportunity of fair airing. Adekunle?
those in the APC, they created the atmosphere for all this, rigmarole, all these unnecessary crises. And they should be ashamed of themselves in the party hierarchy. Because this is a very simple matter. But now they've problematized it to a level that this matter will have to reach the Supreme Court before we can have the last word on it. I think what we have today is never the judgment, or we call it a judgment, but
That's
not
why I call it a supplementary judgment.
Not the justice. He called it supplementary judgment. But you will see that this matter.
preliminary
My joy is that when you have judgments from tribunal anywhere in Nigeria now,
You can't hold on to it.
please don't celebrate it. Because at the end of the day, when you go to the appeal court, you see appeal court judges even rebuking judges at the tribunal.
They use harsh words on them.
Sometimes calling to question some of the professional pedigree of some of these people in the tribunals. I'm not accusing anybody in this case, but I've seen that on a number of cases. Then, lately, the same issue is happening to judges at the appeal court.
Yes.
Sometimes I want to ask, should we still do something after the Supreme Court?
Let me just take
because
Williams.
getting to the
I'll come back to you. I don't know if you. Williams, thank you for hanging on. Hello, Williams.
Hello, sir.
Yes, go ahead with your contribution, Williams.
Yeah, thank you. I want to contribute in this program.
Go ahead, Williams.
In line with our constitution, the running mate to Audu, a person of Faleke, is supposed to be the governor, because according to the constitution, they said if a person is duly elected as a governor dies before taking and subscribing the oath of allegiance and oath of office, or is unable for any reason whatever to be sworn in, the person elected with him as deputy governor shall be sworn in as the governor.
Okay.
That is what the constitution clearly states. So it's a surprise to me for the tribunal to take it the other side of it, that Yaya Bello is the person to be the governor, while Faleke should not be, if he's going to.
Thank you.
Thank you, Williams. Thank you very much. Why I'm saying this is because you will see at the appeal court, many issues will be laid bare. Number one, they will want to ask, should you declare that kind of election inconclusive?
Number one.
There has to be
They
a
addressed-
definitive
they addressed
statement on
every
that.
result.
The moment you ask a question on that and a good decision is made, the whole pall of uncertainty will disappear. That's number one.
That's like a jigsaw that.
Yeah. Number two, should a deputy governor candidate undergo primaries? We need, learned judges, people of pedigree to make a statement on this.
Honest people.
This, believe me, what politicians are saying, and now we have judges at the tribunal level echoing the same, ridiculous things from our politicians. I'm ashamed.
Kunle, you know what I even want to ask people? This was a novel kind of case. Yeah. Somebody dying just before he officially tasted victory. And they said our constitution did not envisage this kind of situation. Yeah. Now, any serious judgment that over time will not be seen by people as just a piece of trash should be able to give us something that we can work with.
Yes.
If we find ourselves in this kind of situation.
It has never happened.
It has never happened. Now, has this judgment, if we were to find ourselves in this, has this judgment addressed
that particular lacuna?
No. The answer is no. This judgment has not addressed it. If this same thing happens again, the same scenario, what are we going to be able to cite in form of law?
Judicial precedent.
Yes, judicial precedent. This judgment is extremely silent on that. It's a loud and silence on this kind of situation. That's why anybody who thinks this is a serious judgment is not serious himself. It is the Supreme Court that will be able to resolve this matter permanently, because the Supreme Court will give us a judgment that will serve as precedent. Once we are confronted with that kind of situation, then we all know what to do. And the other thing, every piece, that election was conclusive. It is the height of dishonesty to say that election was not conclusive. In fact, what happened in Kogi is extremely similar to what happened in Bayelsa, an election that you covered. When we are talking about voided votes being substantial or even being higher than the margin of victory between two contestants. It happened between Silva and Seriake Dixon. But nobody declared that election inconclusive. Remember that Silva's agent granted an interview to TVC and some other media houses there, where he was saying, look, this is an inconclusive election. He was talking about the valid votes and all that. But what happened? INEC went ahead because they didn't want to make the kind of stupid mistake that was made in Kogi. INEC went ahead, disregarded the so-called voided votes and all, and proceeded to announce Dixon as winner. So, based on the fact that election results had been read from local government to local government, up to the last local government in Kogi, one can say that the election was concluded and a winner had truly emerged.
I'm sure that's not the last of this Kogi election. Let me quickly take Jalingo from Kaduna State. Thank you for joining us, Jalingo. Hello, Jalingo.
Yeah, I'm listening.
All right, go ahead with your contribution.
Yeah, I honestly want to make a very serious contribution to whatever your debate is.
Okay.
I quite appreciate the conversation.
All right, go ahead.
I want to blame the Electoral Act of Nigeria, and then the umpires. And I want to disagree also with Jide that the issue of Atiku Abubakar and Boni Haruna is an election that has been won and pronounced. The winner has emerged. And that of Abubakar Audu and Faleke was an inconclusive one. And let's look at this from the two sides of the divide. And again, why I said I am blaming the umpire is because The issue of Kogi was said the election was inconclusive because the number of invalid votes surpasses the number of the differences between the two contestants. But also, let's look at the issue of David Mark. Let's look at the issue of David Mark. The issue of David Mark was same with that of Kogi State, and David Mark was pronounced winner. And also, let's also look at the issue of the recent election in Toto local government in Nasarawa State.
All right, Jalingo.
The margin too was a bit. The margin of error was a bit far.
Yeah, Jalingo, thank you. So many people want to contribute at the same time. I think
he ended up contradicting himself by citing instances when the so-called margin of victory it was lower than the voided votes. Yet INEC went ahead to pronounce the person who was ahead the winner, which was what I also said, that it happened in Bayelsa State.
Yeah, but I think that's not the last.
So you cannot now say that
we are going to get reaction to this. We are going to get more reactions to this judgment, and I'm sure
it was a conclusive election.
The Court of Appeal, the Court of Appeal, within 90 days, the Court of Appeal will be adjudicating on this particular matter. The federal government orders banks to stop sacking workers. Get our reaction to the story after this break. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. Nigerians are going through tough times. That's an understatement. The economy is shrinking. Inflation is at double digits. And employers of labor are struggling. Almost all sectors of the economy are affected. The banking sector is already cutting costs. More than 3,000 workers were laid off in the last few weeks. Last Friday, the federal government ordered banks and other financial institutions to stop sacking workers until the outcome of a conciliatory meeting in the industry. But this call sounds like a big, in a free market economy, like a big joke. Does the federal government have the power to stop private companies from laying off workers? It's Adekunle is already laughing. Let me start from Lincoln. Let me start from you. Somebody told me that as much as the single treasury account would have achieved so many things, that these banks, treasury single account, yes, TSA, that these banks, most of the funds at their disposal, before now, majorly government funds. That's what they used to keep, afloat. So immediately the TSA came, and the rude withdrawal. The reality came to tell us that this bank, the banking sector is close to, is not as huge and as big and as buoyant as what you used to call one bank that used to say, oh, the bank is still, and then say they're payoff.
Big, strong, reliable.
I don't want to mention the name of that particular bank, but it might not be as big as what we've seen, since the advent of this TSA.
Well, let me explain something. What has been happening has been that banks, the governments own the biggest funds in this economy. There's no doubt in that. Now, government now put these funds in private banks. And then the central bank now comes and issues treasury bills to borrow its own money from the banks. Do you understand? So that is a major source of income for the banks. Now that TSA has come and the fund has been forcibly removed and sent to,
CBN.
Yeah. And the governments, succeeding governments in Nigeria have not ensure that the economy runs by ensuring that infrastructure is on ground to run the economy so that the real sector can function. I can tell you for free that if any industry is telling you, that they are running more than 30% capacity, it's a lie. And the money that you have in the banks, apart from government money, should be money coming from the private sector. If you are operating 30%, how much money do you have? Then you know what is happening. The Avengers of Niger Delta.
Really hitting us hard.
They are affecting both offshore and onshore. So funds that oil companies who also earn, by the way, the oil industry is the biggest industry in the world. You know, the funds that they could have kept in the bank they are prevented from making money. So the economy is, really, so the cash flow that the banks use to trade is not functioning. Who would they go to? The companies that will make money and put money in the banks are no longer there. I read a report about sometime last week that not more than 2% of Nigerians, not more than 2% of Nigerians keep money above 1 million in the bank, have more than 1 million naira in the bank account. That's a terrible thing.
2%.
2%
from those
of all the 170 million Nigerians,
of
of the 170 million Nigerians.
And I think we have about 60 million bank accounts. I think, bank version account. I think something like that came up.
So if 60 million, we shouldn't talk about 150. So a lot of people don't have bank accounts.
So it tells you something that we are really in a very,
what is Dr. Chris Ngige talking about? What's this reconciliatory that he's talking about? Because I thought the banking sector...
You will need to read his... recorded a letter, or because you can't give a directive to banks, they are not part of his ministry.
I hereby direct.
You cannot direct. It doesn't seem, to me, I'm sorry, it doesn't seem to understand the enormity of the crisis. It's like the minister is just like...
glibly talking.
It's not just serious about
Playing
it.
to the gallery.
Because when you look at the issues, he was talking about petitions, arbitration. No, the economy is down. Nigerians are
can't sustain.
There is a downturn in the economy. Unless you move ahead and address the crisis, it's beyond. Please don't sack or let's discuss. No, it's not about discussion. Look at it in a country like ours. In a country like ours, where the economy is public sector led. When election is approaching, governance is on suspension. So, plus or minus, under Jonathan, before he left office, May last year, Nigeria, the economy of Nigeria was on crunches for a whole year. This government took over May last year, and May this year, that's another 1 year. That means 2 years of total inaction. Under this government, no one single road has been had. No one single contract has been given out. They don't seem to understand it. We are lovers of change. We want a lot to change about our country, but we don't want to change into a direction that will kill, the overwhelming, majority of Nigerian, masses. This government, especially going by the attitude of this minister, doesn't seem to understand the enormity of the crisis,
Jide, EcoBank fired 1,040 workers for poor performance last week. Diamond Bank sacked over 400 workers. And LBN Holdings has revealed plans to cut down its workforce by 1,000.
Let
Dr. Chris
Ngige. Let him go and lock them up. Since he's backing out orders to them, he should go and lock up the banks. He should go and lock up the banks. The reality is, you must create the enabling environment for businesses to thrive. That is the duty of government. The reality is, the president is behaving like somebody who doesn't prioritize the economy. And I'll give you a reason why I'm talking like this. we should have a national economic advisor. The late Yaradua had a national economic advisor. Obasanjo had a national economic advisor. His former national economic advisor later became CBN governor. That was Soludo.
Professor Soludo.
Why is it that we do not have a national economic advisor?
1 year after.
The man who was national economic advisor to Yaradua, Tanemu Yakubu, was the former president of the Bayero University Student Union, was rusticated. But everybody had that pedigree, that is someone that you can trust and all that. And they came into government together from the beginning. From the beginning. So from the beginning, Buhari should have made, if they asked him, can you give us your 3 priorities? If I were Buhari, I would have said economy, economy, economy.
Like,
because that way you can create jobs and life will be better for our people. If you cannot create jobs, and people can't look at construction farms, for example.
They've been laying off.
Construction farms and other manufacturing concerns, they need forex to bring in material, raw material. They can't access forex. And you want them to continue to pay idle workers? I've said it on this program, and somebody called in to say, look, that if people make valid requisition for dollars and they go to the banks, they will get it. Let that person try it and let us see whether in 4 months he will get it.
I even have a friend in
the reality is things are very difficult, not just for common Nigerians like you and me, but for businesses in our country. Whether you are a hairdresser or any form of business concern, things are really, really tough. It doesn't take.
Just look at this. Just look at this report here. First Bank, the biggest bank in Nigeria.
Yes, with substantial government interest in it.
Had a 80% decline in profit for the 2015 financial year.
80%.
80% is.
But what do you expect? You have taken even the public sector funds. You've taken the public sector funds away from these banks. Where do they get money?
Bank can record 80%.
Banks were bribing, commercial banks were bribing ministries, agencies, and parastatals
to get the accounts.
The public sector cash. You said no, that you took all of that away.
To keep them liquid.
So if they had the cash, they could afford to lend and all that. They make money from lending to people. So once you've taken
but who will
all of
even
that,
take the loan? The real sector is
double digits.
The real sector cannot function, cannot work.
It cannot work.
So
the crisis in the oil sector, many of the loans
if
that
you take any loan now, you are going to serve the banks forever. You are going to serve the banks forever.
You know, but I think
Justice is calling us from Enugu. Let me quickly take Justice. Thank you for joining us, Justice.
Yeah, good evening. Are you?
Yeah, Justice, go ahead.
Yeah. On the issue of Yaya Bello, I'm choosing to keep quiet. Okay. Because it's a very dicey one. Very, very dicey.
Okay.
Whichever way you interpret it, you must have a judgment passed over you. As a lawyer, I have chosen to be so calm on that issue. Coming to the economy, I have said it right from day one. Buhari with this, I don't know what I will call it, whether they are playing, I can't tell what they are doing there. Are they only trying to do corruption for us in this country? I tire. I really tire.
Justice, you don't talk about Kogi now. Why?
You don't know what to talk.
He said he doesn't know what to talk.
You may disagree or you may eat Obasanjo. I decided to read that book.
Okay.
That very controversial book, I should say. Obasanjo put it there that Buhari's presidency will be disastrous for Nigeria economically because of this and this. And
you are coming to pass, have you?
Believe me, if you read the portion about Buhari you will know that the man truly understands the president a lot. Exactly the way Obasanjo put it in that book.
Maybe Obasanjo put a spell
Because
on it.
governance is not only about fighting corruption, it's not only about helping us about insecurity issues, it's also about the economy. Nigerians are really in hardship. It's terrible.
If the banking sector
The
is
president
coming
of
down
Nigeria
this fast,
doesn't have
you can just imagine what will be happening in the small firms.
The president
But
and the
maybe
vice
it's still
president
part of the
are
garrison
not
economy.
experts on economic
Command
matters.
and control
Why
economy.
can't you get experts to help
Maybe
you?
that's what it looks like. Have you?
You need experts to help you.
Because
Abi, it will validate what Obi Ezekwesili said. that,
Jide made a point.
This
Jide made
is a command and control economy.
Jide
If
made
you
a
can
point.
just at the snap of your finger say, oh yeah, you those bank MDs, if you try to sack anybody there, you see what I will
So
do to
rather
you.
than have fiscal policies, we are having physical policies.
For physical combat.
Oh yeah. that's
Oh,
Physical
my
combat.
But Ayo, I think there's something we need to remind the Minister for Labour and Productivity.
Yeah.
That Section 11 of the Labour Law says that an employer has the right to
Hire and fire.
fire.
This is the second time that he's saying this. It just
So,
shows
or
that
maybe
there's
he also
some
we need
ignorance
to
somewhere.
refer him to go and read these things. This is not a commanded. This is not a socialist system, and this is not the time
And they should
of.
stop playing to the
This is not
gallery.
the time
banks
that
are not NGOs or charities.
It's not
I
standing
don't
on the
understand it.
Organization.
It's not standing on the soapbox. Campaigns have ended. Let us face reality now.
Yes,
See
let's,
as-
let's deal with the problem right now.
Because
If
what
you
is on
can't
ground,
pay,
they
if you
can't
can't
sustain
pay,
it.
if you can't pay, why should anybody not tell you to allow the staff to go so that the staff can go and find employment somewhere else where it will be paid?
Exactly.
We can't all be like the private sector. They can't behave
Maybe
like
they
these
can go to
governors now.
Nollywood or
The other
something.
day-
They can't behave like these governors who have no shame, who keep people in
Even
at
state
work for
governors,
6 months and they
even
won't
state
pay.
governments cannot pay. Ayo Fayose is on strike now.
Yes,
it's on strike.
Which strike? And he took the money that came to the state. He didn't declare it to anyone. Which year strike is he on? He has turned the thing to a joke. You know?
Even if the state governments cannot pay, so the banking sector, I don't know, it's a very tough one.
Please,
Gentlemen,
the federal government needs to wake up. Regarding economy, they get zero from me. They are not doing it.
we have a special advisor.
They are not doing enough.
No, we have-
Adeosun is not it.
maybe she can
Adeosun
do it.
needs a much more experienced person to work with her.
Yeah.
That's my view. She doesn't have the pedigree. She's not experienced enough.
And the
It's
last
not-
time I
it's not a
checked, we still have like 12 positions. That was the 7th Senate of the special advisors. They say vacant. That position.
Let
It
them
was
just
approved.
address the economy.
Let them get a special advisor on.
And there are
Or
people who can do
create
it.
a special economic team. Whatever they want,
whatever name they want
the
to call it,
economy,
because
they must give it the
Let's,
priority.
let's begin to see signs that
They
we are
must address
Somebody
the
we are
economy.
addressing the economy.
They said they were having crisis about the budget. At the end of the budget, the
Okay,
budget
the
was
budget has
passed.
been passed now. Okay.
What is happening about that budget?
350
You have
billion naira
lost
was said
half
to
of
have
the
been
year in
injected
terms
into
of
the economy.
implementation. What are you still doing?
No, but the Minister of Finance has said that we should not expect some of the projects in that budget to be implemented.
Have they awarded one single contract this year?
And we will have to find out.
It's
from
over a year.
our boys in Abuja. Our boys in Abuja will
It's
give
over
us
a
that.
year now. What have they done? Fighting corruption.
I
good.
said our boys in
Fighting
Abuja
Boko
will
Haram, good.
tell us.
Fighting Avengers, good. But the economy is much more important than all those ones.
I can see
And
Adekunle
Nigerians are
Yusuf is
crying.
really angry.
Don't be annoyed.
I want to thank you, Lekon. Adekunle Yusuf, I know we in the spirit of Ramadan, we pray for Nigeria, we pray for the economy, and we like a spiritual and divine intervention. We desire it in Nigeria. We like prayer, so I think we have to go and pray.
Our president,
Julius Toju, thank you.
Let us go.
Thank you. And that's it on Journalist Hangout today. Join us tomorrow for another interesting episode of the program. You can watch the repeat broadcast tonight at 11. You can also watch Journalist Hangout on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Ayodele Uzubakun. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.